There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, happiness, health, and peace of mind. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Burns, and I teach practical spirituality. And each week with our TV show, we bring you new thought teachers of practical spirituality, nationally and internationally. Our intention is to inspire you to uncover your true nature, your divine. And our intention is to help you learn skills for life mastery and to expand your consciousness. And to that end, I have fantastic guests for you today. Upcoming in the show a little later on, we have Brent and Hunter. He's the author of The Rainbow Bridge, Bridge to Inner Peace and to World Peace. And then later on, we have The Wealth of a Spiritual Woman with Dr. Shaheerah Steffens. So, great show for you today. I want to do a little housekeeping. Please check us out at www.spiritualityrockstv.com. You can see past episodes there, and we also have a book list. If you can't watch the show, you just can turn it on in the background and listen. Please tell your friends, let people know. You can like us on Facebook at Spirituality Rocks. And each week we promise to bring you exciting people who can really empower your spiritual growth and development. And to that end, I want you to know that next week we have Dr. Sheila McKeithen will be with us, who's a fantastic truth teacher. She's the president of the Universal Foundation for Better Living. I also want you to check out Women's Gold Rush Conference. That's www.Women's Gold Rush Conference. It's coming up in just a few more weeks, March 13th to the 15th, 2015, in Chicago, Illinois. The list of speakers reads like a list of who's who. Terry Cole Whitaker, who wrote the book, What You Think of Me Is None of My Business, is the keynote speaker. And also, again, will be Sheila McKeithen, Stephanie Wilson Coleman. She was on our TV show recently. Will be on there. Janet Grace Nelson has been a guest. Sonny Bohm will be there. The list goes on and on. I'm, in fact, looking forward to being there. I'll be speaking on relationship. That's the Women's Gold Rush Conference, so check it out. Also, I invite you to go to newthought.org. And at newthought.org, what you'll find is the Affiliated New Thought Network. And the Affiliated New Thought Network affords you the opportunity to grow your spiritual development by going on a cruise. We're taking a cruise to Cozumel. That's in April 16th to the 20th. There's still staterooms available. We have 90 people signed up already. Just imagine being immersed in 90 people who think positively like you do. Just think about learning spiritual principles and developing your consciousness. That's what we've got to offer you. Check it out at newthought.org. And one other thing I want to tell you about my friend, his name is Galen McDowell. Galen McDowell has a TV show on Unity FM, and his show is called Transforming You. It's fantastic. If you go to unity.fm, you'll see lots of shows there, but if you check out Galen McDowell, this guy is so well read. He's a genius. It's just amazing to me how articulate, well spoken, and well educated he is on practical spirituality. He's a great teacher, so check him out too. All righty then, the business is over. I want to introduce you to my first guest. He is an amazing individual. He was brought up meditating. That's what his dad did. He was brought up with Buddhism. He's practiced transcendental meditation, all sorts of meditation, ever since he was 12 years old. And this is all accumulated in writing this fantastic book called The Rainbow Bridge. And it's the bridge to inner peace and world peace. And he gives tremendous universal principles that can be applied not only to your individual life, but we can apply these to the world to create world peace. So I'd like you to welcome to Spirituality Rocks, Brent and Hunter. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Janine. It's great to be here with you today.
Great to have you on the show. And I think you're calling in on Skype from Los Angeles, California. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. I really would like to know, what made you write this book? Was it your years? What was the culmination of all those years of meditation? You were divinely guided. What was the impetus, please?
So the creation of the Rainbow Bridge really came about as a result of the business that I ran from 1994 until about 2001. This was an online community called The Park. And there were periods of time where it was extremely challenging. I was challenged on just about every level imaginable. And so I was taking notes during that period of time to help me get through that period of time in all those rough waters. And I had to shut the operation down in 2001. And one day I was sitting there meditating, and I had all the notes in front of me, and it just dawned on me that all of that information that I had compiled, which was drawn upon all the major wisdom traditions of the world, was really important information, not just for me in getting through those rough waters, but really important for other people as well. So, and that all of that information represented the common ground that's found within the world's major wisdom traditions, also known as universal principles. So that's kind of how the book came about as a result of some very significant challenges.
Right, right. You know, we're having a little bit of an audio difficulty. It's with the Skype. That sometimes happens, but fortunately we still can hear you loud and clear, but it does sound like there's a little barking in the background. What I liked about the book is the beginning of the book is where you talk about the bridge to inner peace and you talk about universal principles. And what is so much fun for me, I love reading a book like that because I say, okay, universe, what do I need to know? And I just open up to a page. And one of the first pages that I did open up to in your book was on synchronicity. Could you tell the people what exactly is synchronicity?
Sure. So synchronicity is a concept that nothing happens in a totally random way. That there are things that happen, and everybody experiences these to one extent or another. Like, for example, you might be thinking of someone, and suddenly that person calls you on the phone. Or you just gave a perfect example. You opened up the book to a particular page. You didn't plan that page, but it just opened up, and there was a message for you waiting on that page, and it was the message of synchronicity. So it's really the idea that everything is completely interconnected, even though we may not be able to see those connections, and that there's a greater greater purpose and other things happening that we're not necessarily aware of or certainly in control of either.
You know, another thing I opened up to, Brent, was find the silver lining. And what you said there is like one of the toughest challenges we face is looking for the inner lining in something. And, you know, so we know that out of every challenge or tragedy that there has to be some good because God is in everything. So there has to be good. But how do we find it? Like sometimes things are really crazy. How do you find the good?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Sometimes it's really easy to find the silver lining. You know, you lose your job, and suddenly the next day you have this job that's better. You're getting paid more. You're being respected and appreciated. Then, you know, afterwards it's pretty easy to find the silver lining in that situation. Sometimes it's not necessarily so easy. So the way that I do it is, and sometimes talking to other people can be really important and helpful as well. But I usually just kind of meditate on the situation and find out what the downsides were of the initial situation, whatever that situation is. And if that situation is no longer happening, then obviously that's one of the silver linings, is that you're not dealing with whatever that challenge was.
That makes a good point. You know what? I'm going to ask the producers if we could take a quick commercial break because it's been my experience with Skype that if we hang up and call back, that barking sound might go away. So we're going to take a brief commercial break. So don't go far. We'll be back with more of Spirituality Rocks with Brent Hunter. Looks like we're still live on the air, and I can hear you barking in the background. Can we go to a commercial break until we fix that? Oh, okay. Well, this is live TV. This is what happens.
Stretching under sedation or manipulation under anesthesia is a very gentle, very precise procedure to very slowly release any scar tissue that is formed as a result of a traumatic injury. Many people ask, how does this work? Will I get hurt? Will you stretch me too far? We only stretch the body part to its normal range of motion. After completing the post-MUA rehabilitation program It's very common that our patients say to us, hey, I can play ball with my kid again. Hey, I can bowl again. Hey, I can enjoy hiking again. This is what makes it rewarding to us as practitioners.
We're going to do a live commercial. Hi, I'm Renee Marie. I'm the president of Language of Love Incorporated Foundation. I'm really happy to tell you that we're going to be doing a Language of Love telethon on March 29, 2015 from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Please look for the location on my website, reneemarielanguageoflove.org. And once again, it's reneemarielanguageoflove.org. And the show will be hosted on the Madhouse TV. It really is important for you to be aware of strokes and aphasia. Strokes is the third leading cause of death in America and the first leading cause of disability. And it really is something that plays no favoritism. And it also really comes when you're not expecting. Nobody expects to have a stroke, and nobody expects to suffer from aphasia, and it really does make a huge impact in your life and change your life in one split second. So we look forward to having everyone join us once again on March 29, 2015 from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And you can follow us on reneemarielanguageoflove.org. Once again, it's reneemarielanguageoflove.org. And we look forward to seeing you. God bless.
Guys, ready for the show? Yeah. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. We are with Brent N. Hunter on Skype. I think we've got the audio all together. He's the author of The Rainbow Bridge, Bridge to Inner Peace and to World Peace. And before the commercial break, we were talking about universal principles. And as he describes them, universal principles are the common ground found in all world religions. And these principles can be used as a barometer of how we could live our life, the rules by which we live our life, correct?
Kind of as a barometer, you could say, they're really kind of steps along your journey. Everybody's journey, of course, is different. Our own journey can be different from day to day or year to year. So it's a matter of basically looking at the different universal principles that apply to your particular life situation at that particular time that you're experiencing them. And then kind of pondering them and balancing them allows, for kind of this framework to operate in the world and to achieve a sense of inner peace and tranquility within our own heart and mind and soul. So
Terrific.
that's really the foundation of the book is these universal principles, as you said, also that really form the common ground of all the world's major wisdom traditions, creating this bridge between religions and this bridge between people of all kinds from all walks of life, different ages, cultures, races, ethnicities, everything across the board.
And now the book is broken up into parts, and in the beginning it talks about universal principles and inner peace, etc. The last part of the book is about world peace, and you talk about a global operating system. Could you please explain that to us?
Sure. So I have a background in information technology and computers, and so I tend to think about things in logical, rational ways. And one of the things that's really important to recognize is that we can understand some things that are going on in the world today by understanding how computers operate. And so, for example, the world that we're living in today does not have a smoothly functioning global operating system. Now, a computer, every computer, whether it's a Mac or a PC or a Unix machine or even a phone, it has an operating system. And the whole purpose of the operating system is to ensure the equitable distribution of resources in the computer. Otherwise, any program that's running in the computer could suddenly start sucking up all the resources, all the CPU power, all the memory, all the hard drive capacity, the peripherals, etc.
Oh.
So the operating system is very important, plays a very important role. Now, the world, as I said, the world that we're living in today does not have a smoothly functioning global operating system. And because there's no smoothly functioning global operating system, then kind of any program, if you will, can come along and start sucking up the planetary resources, such as oil or water or natural resources, minerals, anything of the sort. So it's really an important thing to understand the root causes of our problems and the fact that we don't have a way of equitably distributing the resources of the planet that is actually the root of many of society's challenges that we have today. So things like violence and poverty, crime, all of these make perfect sense when we understand that we're lacking something very fundamental. And so that's a really important concept that I explain in the book. And then the rest of the book talks about, in very specific terms, what we can actually do to go about creating a better, more smoothly functioning global operating system than the one that we have in place today.
Okay, unfortunately, we still have that sound. I'm not sure why it is. It's something on the audio, but we still can hear you, so bear with us. So tell us more about the global operating system in terms, so you're talking about more equitable distribution of resources, etc.?
Yes. So again, if we think about a computer, then we can recognize, okay, that's how a computer operates. You have this operating system that is allowing multiple programs to coexist peacefully, sharing the resources of the computer. And that's how a computer is able to actually function and to have the computer be doing multiple things all at once, because it's sharing the resources. It's allowing the programs to have access to the resources in a fair way. And so you can use the same metaphor for the world that we're living in today, because the world that we live in today, of course, is completely interconnected. We're completely interdependent. All of our financial systems are connected, information systems, communication systems. We're really quite reliant on one another, and whatever happens in one side of the world really does affect things on the other side of the world and vice versa. So this root cause of society's problems that we have today, there's actually huge amounts of resources in the world, but the resources are not distributed in an equitable manner. And so we have parts of the world that have just crazy amounts of resources, and then you have other parts of the world that have almost nothing. If you look at some of the recent statistics, roughly half the people in the world are struggling to survive on less than $2 a day. That's terrible. Even if you take in consideration currency differences and barter and trade arrangements and agreements, we can see that we have an enormous problem. And it's a problem of distribution of the resources of the planet. So if we sort of set aside the question about how do we create this global operating system, just set aside for a second and just focus on the need for an operating system and recognizing the need for a global operating system and all of the amazing benefits that it would provide, that is a huge starting point that we can all kind of start at to have this amazing conversation, because it's really not until we start addressing our root causes that we will be able to really solve the problems that we are faced with.
Exactly, absolutely. We're still getting that barking sound, unfortunately. Wonder if you could turn your volume down just a little bit, and then maybe the sound person can turn ours up a little bit. I'm not sure if that's going to work, but say something and we'll see.
Is that any better?
That might be better. It might be better. But yeah, because that echoing in the background sometimes is because your microphone is too loud. Okay, so the Rainbow Bridge, Bridge to Inner Peace and World Peace is the name of the book. What I like it is that although it's a thicker book, it certainly is an easy read because you have a certain amount of information. There's headings in it. And the information, especially on the universal principles, is things that we've all heard about. But to really embrace and embody them is what makes a difference. Now, you talk in the book about the next generation using the law of attraction. And talk about that. We all talk about what the law of attraction means and what you mean.
Sure, sure. So I say that that the Rainbow Bridge can help bring about this next generation use of the law of attraction, because as we've heard so far, there's many people talking. The movie, of course, The Secret, and then countless numbers of books that talked about the law of attraction, and not only understanding what it, visualizing our goal, but also feeling what it feels like to experience that end result. But most of the teachings around the law of attraction have been about how we get a bigger house or a really nice car or a relationship. It's all been focused on sort of me. What do I do? How do I use this so that I can have a better life? And the next generation, I believe, is when we put our heads and hearts together and use the law of attraction not for any particular individual goal, but for a societal goal, a global goal of creating a world that works for all, a world that is harmonious and is based on collaboration and cooperation, as opposed to the one that exists today, which is all about competition. So when we use the principle of the law of attraction and we use these universal principles, and particularly enabled by the power of the internet and the power of technology that we have today, which we've never had before, it's really astonishing the capabilities that we have. We literally can achieve, I believe, anything that we set our hearts and minds to. And but it's the focus on coming together as a group of people to manifest collectively for the good of all of us, and not just for the good of one particular person, no matter who that person is.
I think that was really terrific, and I really how wonderful is that? And we really can create world peace. So many people have such high praise for this book. It's really quite astonishing if you read the reviews on it. And it talks about, you're talking about cultivating inner values of like compassion and love to create a happier and peaceful world. Is that part of what you refer to as conscious evolution?
So conscious evolution, yes, it is. And let me just define what I mean by conscious evolution. And there are a number of people that are talking about the same kind of concept. And that is that rather than a species just kind of accidentally evolving through the principle of natural selection or whatever, the species itself can awaken and evolve in a conscious way, so that we can literally say, how are we going to evolve? What is it that we're evolving into? And what is the society evolving into? What does that look like? So we can literally, by using the power of our minds and the power of visualization and the power of intention, and of course the power of prayer, we can literally create a world that is quite different than the one that we are experiencing today.
That's really wonderful. This book is a gem. It is really packed with deep insights and wisdom. And
thank you.
Yeah, it really is, without a doubt. So what I like is I don't really think that you need to read it cover to cover. I love the idea of opening it randomly, or you can take it by a section and look at it. Now, why did you choose Rainbow Bridge? What is the significance of that?
Yes, great question. So the whole idea, as I mentioned early on, is that these universal principles create a bridge between the different religions, but not just between the religions, between people of all kinds everywhere in the world without exception. And so the whole idea of a bridge, therefore, that's part of the name, is this bridge, right? But how do we reflect the notion of an all-inclusive bridge, a bridge that works for everybody in the entire world? And that's where the concept of the rainbow came in. Because a rainbow is a single sort of thing, right? It's one rainbow, but it's made up of all of the different colors of the rainbow. So through many, many different colors, you can come up with a unified single entity. And so the rainbow part of the title refers to the all-inclusive nature of this global bridge that literally bridges us all together. And, you know, it's in the context of the common ground within all the world's major wisdom traditions, but also this totally applies to people who are atheists as well. I have a number of friends who are atheists, and they love the Rainbow Bridge. And they find truth in it that they can apply in their lives. And I think everybody can do the same kind of thing. It's not a prescriptive book. It doesn't say you must do this, you must do that. It's not at all like that. It's here are a number of, there's 60 universal principles. Here are the universal principles. See how, you know, try them on, depending on what's going on, as I said earlier, what's going on in our life or in our particular part of the journey that we're on in life, you know, taking those universal principles and seeing how they apply and how we can utilize them more in our lives in a conscious way. And, you know, you mentioned opening the book. I agree. You don't need to read the book cover to cover. I think it's important. It'd be great that a lot of people did it that way, read it from cover to cover, but certainly don't need to. You can just open it up to any page, and there's wisdom there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what I like? I like your chapter on inner peace, because when you open up to that chapter, it's filled with meditations and it's filled with practices. And I think that's so important for people to practice just every day, like you brush your teeth, take some time to meditate. It's really wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, the section, there's a number of different meditations in there. And, you know, sometimes people are not really resonating with the concept of meditation. However, I believe that anybody that's, certainly anybody that's having any kind of challenges in our life, meditation or just sitting, just contemplating, pondering, whatever you want to call it. And there's many different ways of meditating, thousands of different ways of meditating. So, you know, sometimes when I talk about meditation, people have this image in their mind's eye of somebody sitting cross-legged with their hands, you know, in their lap facing upwards. Well, that's one way of meditating. You certainly don't have to do it that way. Right. So there's a number of meditations that I include in there, and I encourage people to try those and you know, try them on, see how they fit for you at this particular time, and whatever might resonate with you now might not resonate with you in the future, and vice versa. Whatever you might not look at and feel excited about now, you might pick up the book a month from now or a year from now or a day from now or whenever, and you might say, wow, that's really cool. So it's kind of a living book in that way.
Yeah, I like that, a living book. Well, what I think is most exciting about the book is that it really clearly lays out a vision for world peace. And it's one that's obtainable. And I love this idea that the Rainbow Bridge, that you've made it so clear, and that your book is catching on, that there's so many people praising it and touting it, and more the world is undergoing a rapid spiritual transformation, and it's people like you who are bringing it forth. And I want to thank you personally for making a tremendous difference in the world, and I want to thank you for writing this book, The Rainbow Bridge to Inner Peace and to World Peace. And I'd like to tell people that if you'd like to go to the website, you can go to therainbowbridge.org and check it out. There's good information on the website, and you can find out more about the book. The book is also available on Amazon. And I want to thank you so much for joining us on Spirituality Rocks. And any parting words you'd like to leave with us?
Well, the Rainbow Bridge also includes a 14-point roadmap to world peace. And so, you know, a number of the people that have endorsed the book, including His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and New York Times best-selling authors, and astronauts now, and a bunch of doctors, and a lot of really fascinating people. I think one of the reasons why is because there's a very specific plan in the book to help bring about a better world, to create this bridge to world peace. And so I think that's probably one of the most important aspects of the book, in addition to, of course, everything that has to do with inner peace, because everything begins with inner peace. So I think those are some of the thoughts that I'd like to leave.
Fantastic. And you really do have a vision that's clearly articulated. Thank you so much for joining us on Spirituality Rocks, Brent and Hunter.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being with you here today.
All righty then. Well, wasn't that fantastic? You got to pick up this book. This book is just amazing. So there's so much spiritual food inside this book, and I'm sure he'll be back on the show with us again. So do check it out, therainbowbridge.org. And we're going to take another commercial break, and right after that, we're having Dr. Shaheerah Stevens is going to be with us. She is the author of The Wealth of a Spiritual Woman. So please stay tuned for more of Spirituality Rocks.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I am excited, I am delighted, and I am thrilled right now because we have the author of The Wealth of a Spiritual Woman coming to us from Chicago, Illinois via Skype. Please help me welcome Reverend Shaheerah Stevens.
Yay!
Yay!
Glad to be with you.
Yay is right. Gosh, this book is fantastic, and you know what I love is my producers were going nuts when they read this, that Iyanla Vanzant says in her book, Yesterday I Cry, had it not been for you, had it not been for Reverend Shaheerah's prayers and her faith in Iyanla, her words that she never even would have been born like who she is, and that she was a midwife who knew exactly what to do to turn her around. Hello.
It's true.
Those are some high words of praise, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I knew her before she was homeless, and I was her friend throughout that whole experience. So we've been really good friends for a long time.
Wonderful. Now, let's just jump right in. How do you define a spiritual woman?
A person who has discovered the spirit within themselves.
Okay.
God's self, the God part of themselves, and through that discovery, they use that discovery for each area of their lives.
Oh,
that's why I love the name of your show, Spirituality Rocks, because when you get in touch with your spiritual self, then you're able to manifest relationships, health, money, whatever it is that you're desiring.
Exactly. And I think for those of us who may not have that, I think it's because of what you called in the book people who are mentally lazy. That's what
Or
you
they don't understand. I think that a lot of times it's just that they don't really understand.
Oh, okay. So they're maybe not mentally lazy, they just don't get it. Okay. But then you talk about the power of the spoken word, and I love this because you said our spoken word has atomic power. Tell us about that.
Well, it does. In the beginning, was the Word. In Genesis, in the creation story, the Word was spoken. It was dark and it was void. And so words have power. The movie, What the Bleep Do We Know?
Uh-huh.
It talks about that.
Right.
So it's through that power of the spoken word that we're able to coagulate atoms and protons and we're able to shape divine substance in the ethers. We have power with our vision, and we have power with our words. We're more powerful than we know, for sure.
So then do you say, we talk a lot about affirmation and prayer on the show. Do you say your affirmations and prayers out loud?
Sometimes. And sometimes I'm not in a position to say them out loud.
Right.
So sometimes I just repeat them to myself, or I just think them.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, I'm in Florida right now, and today I thought I was going to affirm divine order, knowing that affirmation, divine order, calms me down, and I'm saying, divine spirit, guide me back to where I need to be.
Nice, nice. And from what I remember in the book, you call that the divine key as indicated in Genesis chapter 1, right?
Yes.
Showing off that I
Absolutely.
read the book, just showing off a little bit, my ego getting a hold of me here. You said, let there be light and ask for divine guidance. I love that. I'm all day long asking for divine guidance.
Yes, and let there be light. Let there be light. Let me see things that maybe I can't see. Let there be light. Let there be wisdom. Let there be information that will come to me about this. In any situation that we're getting ready to go into, a business deal, a relationship, it is very good to speak those words, let there be light. Because light is wisdom and light is also divine guidance. And we're talking about this presence and this power that lives within us, not something on the outside of us.
Right, a power that is absolutely in us and as us.
Yes.
You call what some people would call affirmation, you call in your book decrees, and I like that because the Bible says, decree a thing and it shall be added unto you. And you list many decrees, and gosh, there's so many of them. There's one here about a new position, divine work, managing change, creating a divine relationship, prosperity, financial self-sufficiency, and releasing the past, and on and on. I like the one, I'm going to read the one, releasing the past. It says, I no longer brood over the past. Brooding is just an excuse to stay where I am. All people of the past have been teachers for me. Some taught me how to not to be, and some how to be. This now moment is all that counts. For the thoughts I think in this moment create my future, and now is all that I have.
Yes.
Excuse me. So, as we read further on in the book, you talk about how the mind has the ability to tuck things away so tight and secure, and so that we're no longer consciously aware of them. I found that quite interesting. Tell us more.
Well, I think I might have been talking about an experience that I had. After I came into my spiritual path, I had to go back and do some forgiveness work regarding a molestation experience I had with my grandmother's significant other. And I had forgotten about a lot of things. I think that it is very loving that there's a part of the mind that will keep things suppressed and covered until we're able to deal with it. But because I was ready to heal, and in the process of healing, it came up, and it came up in order for me to deal with it through a lot of forgiveness. I had to do a lot of forgiveness work. And forgiveness is so key, and it's really for ourselves. I really want to get that said. It's so key to prosperity. It's so key to health. It's so key to moving on in relationships. And basically, it's forgiveness of ourselves.
Yeah, ultimately,
So,
yes.
yes. Because if we believe in this, in the law of attraction, then we would believe that people came into our lives for a reason, a season, a reason, for lessons for sure.
Right.
And they came in to be teachers. And so there's no reason to be, hold on to that. Let it go so that you can move into your best life and your authentic life.
Yeah, but the ego doesn't like to get so. You did talk about the two aspects of ourselves in the book. And so our ego self, we don't want to let go. We want to know why. We want to figure it out. And it just wants so much control. And so letting go and that process of forgiveness and release, like you said, it's so huge for you. Not the other person, but for you.
Yeah. And it's a practice, Janine.
Okay.
That word practice is what I use over and over again at the community where I am a spiritual leader at Transforming Love Community. We are practicing. We are students, and every day we're practicing. We're observing ourselves, hopefully we're staying mindful, and we're in a practice, and we can see the results. We can see that our lives are getting better as we practice the universal principles.
Exactly. I love that idea that it is a practice. I mean, the whole intention of this show is practical spirituality that you can apply in your life regularly. Since you did mention it, I'd like to tell the people that your website is Transforming Love Community. I like that. Transforming Love Community, and that is in Chicago, correct?
No, we're in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, I had that wrong. Oh, I see. You're in Detroit, Michigan. And now
But we'll be in Chicago for the Gold Rush Women's Conference.
Oh, you know what? Let's just jump on that Gold Rush Women's Conference, then we'll get back to the book. Tell me more. Are you going to be giving workshops? Are you going to be doing the general session? What you doing?
Yes, I will be doing a general session, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited about it.
What's your topic?
I went through a healing opportunity.
Oh.
And this is the first time that I'm really laying out the whole process of what happened.
Wow. And so you're going to lay out the process of what happened and how you healed.
Yes.
I am so pumped about this. Last year I went, and I think I got so excited. I think I'm bringing 6 people with me. I'm not sure. I'm bringing a crew of people because it was such an incredible environment. The
Yes.
love energy was palpable. The information at the workshops was amazing. And you know what I like? Boom, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Jump on a plane, go to Chicago on Friday, and then you're finished Sunday afternoon. It includes your breakfast every day. It includes the meal Friday night, Sunday afternoon. It includes all the workshops, everything you want. And for like a ridiculous amount. I think
Yeah.
the highest fee is $400, and it goes down from there. I mean, it's just remarkable.
Right.
So it's very exciting. I'm also one of the general session presenters. I'm speaking on relationships. And so what I'm going to do is teach empathy skills, how to manage anger, and so support people to really connecting to their divine nature. So let's remind the people that they can go to Gold Rush Women's Conference. That's www.Gold Rush Women's Conference to find out more about that. And the Reverend Jackie Trish Atkins, who's the one who facilitates it. So there's going to be everything from drumming. There's a pajama party on Saturday night. You can't miss with this. And the keynotes.
Oh, it's awesome.
Terry, do you know Terry Cole Whitaker?
Yes.
Terry, what she's really, I think, most well known for is that book, What You Think of Me Is None of My Business.
Yes. Don't you love that?
Love that book. Love the title. And she's going to be the keynote speaker. Yeah, I have followed Terry throughout the years. She's just wonderful. So, yay, Gold Rush Conference. Woo!
Yay.
Yay. So, back to your book. And just what a juicy book. I like this book. You know what I really like about it is you went through this process here where you wanted to have us look at things that may be hidden in our relationships, like maybe past wounds, if you will, so that we can shift our consciousness and shift our perception. And you had us look at qualities that we liked in our mother or caregiver or things we didn't dislike, as well as with your mother, your father, and feelings about that, as well as other significant relationships. And it was really wonderful because then you ended up having us make a chart. And with that chart, what we did is this whole exercise was valuable because with the opportunity to see patterns, they make us really aware of what we're doing over and over and over and why. And so much of it is learned behavior that as we become conscious, we can unlearn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I really had so much healing to do. I came from everybody has a story. I know everybody has a story. But coming into my spirituality again is the reason why I was able to heal from a lot of the dysfunctional patterns from my own childhood. And a lot of great healing with my father and my mother. You know, coming into spirituality, I didn't know initially that I was angry with my mother. I knew clearly I was angry with my father. But I had to clean up those relationships so that I could begin to attract from a whole nother level of clean.
Were they
of getting that stuff out of the way and to be able to attract from a pure place.
Were your parents living? Were they living on this earth plane when you did the healing work?
Yes, and they still are living. My father just turned 87, and my mother will be 86.
Oh,
yes.
Wonderful.
And
Okay.
I was surprised. I told them about the book. I said, you know, I'm not doing this to hurt anybody, but I'm doing this because I really am seeking my healing. And from that standpoint, they were able to accept it. And they sold quite a few of them.
Bet you they got a little healing from it too. That's fantastic. That's great. Another aspect of the book that I like is chapter 7, and that's entitled Attracting Your Divine Work. And what you said in there, you said that we've all been blessed with gifts, talents, and abilities. But what do you say to the person who doesn't really recognize their gifts? Because I know there's a lot of people who they don't really value themselves and realize that they have them. What do you say to that person?
I say ask 3 people that know you well, close around you. Ask them what 3 qualities they see in you that are really positive. Because those positive qualities are going to be connected with what you came here to do. You know, and sometimes people, they do their gifts so naturally that they don't know it's a gift.
I think that's a big yes. They do it so naturally that they don't understand it's a gift. Yeah.
Yes.
Good point. And then let's say, so you talk about there's a divine design or a divine plan for your life. And since there really is a divine design for your life, there's also divine work for you to do that only you can do. Well, wait a minute. What do people say who say, you know, in New Thought, we believe that you have choice. So are you saying that when the universe created you that your life is already laid out? Then that means we don't have choice.
Well, we absolutely have choice. And there is a scripture that says, I know the plans I have for you, and they are plans of good.
To prosper
so this process is about going within and really getting in touch with what you love to do, because I believe that the Creator would have us to do whatever we're going to do in joy. What really makes your heart sing. And you know, I took Arnold Patton's workshops many years ago, but Arnold talks about finding out what makes your heart sing, and also what are the qualities that you would like to see in your perfect world. In my perfect world, freedom, abundance, and freedom and abundance, love. And so through that, everything that I do will bring those qualities. Whether I sing, whether I write, whether I speak, whatever, I'm doing all the things that make my heart sing.
And you know what?
That if people find their joy, they're going to find their treasure.
And it just reminded me something of that I read in the book, that when somebody asks you to do something, you ask, is it in alignment with those things? Yes, I remembered that just now. And how wonderful is that, you know? I like your idea of freedom. I've really been focusing on freedom lately, and for me, my freedom comes when I do all the things that I know ought to be done by me, so then I have the space to go and do other things I want to do.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. It's such an internal thing. Freedom is such an it's a very internal process.
It's such
because we're the only ones that can free ourselves. We think it's all out here, but actually nothing's out there. It's all within. That's why spirituality rocks.
That's why spirituality rocks. And that's why if you change your perceptions, then your life will change. You know, there's this great little book years ago, I think Barker wrote it, and it's called How to Change Other People. And I used to be a pastor. I was a pastor for 13 years. And that book, I would order 10 copies a month, and they'd be sold out every month because people would want to know, oh, good, how can I change someone else? And then I used to kind of giggle when they bought it because the way you change other people is changing your perception. That's a wonderful technique when you learn how. That's one of the techniques I'm going to teach at the Gold Rush, how to change your perception of someone else, and thus you'll have a new experience.
And that's gold right there. That is gold.
That's some solid gold right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have a whole paper of where I made notes about what I read in your book and all these questions, but we only have about 9 minutes left to the show. So what I would really love, if you would be willing to do an affirmative prayer. And I'm going to just say the general subject of prosperity because there's a lot of people who are unemployed and they don't show up on they've just stopped looking for a job, so they're no longer on the governmental lists. And so there's a real big issue with unemployment. So perhaps if we treat for prosperity and divine work, I would love for you to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would love to do it. Ready now?
Ready.
Okay. So let's all take a deep breath right where you are. Let's breathe in, knowing right now that the breath of God, whatever name we call God, is breathing us. And we are anchored in the breath of God. And we are anchored in the truth that we know there is only one source. And that one source is right now expressing as every listener right now. There is only one presence and one power. One presence and one power and one activity. And it is always flowing and it is always present. And we give thanks right now that right now you are expressing as divine ideas. That's what you give to us. You give to us divine ideas and we catch them and we hold them and we have a vision for them. And then, because there is no spot where you are not, you also send forth all of the people that are necessary. Each person right now, as you tap into the one source, realizing that you are loved, you are cared about, you are one with the one. The presence of God expresses as you, right where you are, and as you turn within, that presence is responsive right now to you. Whatever you need to know, it flows to you. That presence and that power, it knows your address, your cell phone number, your P.O. box number, your Twitter password. It knows how to bring forth good news. Open up your mind to receive right now. We give thanks for this opportunity right now that we can speak this word and that the Spirit of God goes before each person that is in need right now and opens up doors that maybe they thought were closed right now. Doors are opening. Hold on to it. Hold on to it with the foundation that God says, beloved, above all things, I wish that you be in good health and that you prosper. So we give thanks right now for healing in bodies where healing is needed, that the light of God infuses every cell of your body. It infuses your muscle tissue. It infuses your blood. And all organs are infused right now with the power and the presence of God. And we do give thanks. We give thanks for this connection. Thank you for blessing Janine in a special way. You have placed new desires in her heart, and you have placed all the people who are coming forward with such ease that support the divine idea that she has, that she can open up the minds of people globally right through this program, Spirituality Rocks. And for this, we do give thanks, and we say amen.
Amen. And so it is.
And so it is.
What a wonderful prayer for everybody, and thank you for the end of it, blessing me. I want people to know there's a whole section on spiritual parenting. It is very important to read this chapter. There's also a section on if you are a single parent. I really encourage you to read it. It talks about you need to nourish yourself to be a good parent, and it actually also lists skills for effective parenting. I'd like to read, I think there's 4 minutes left in the show. Buy the book just for this. You have a section on letting go. It's so beautiful. To let go doesn't mean to stop caring. It means I can't do it for someone else. To let go is to not cut myself off. It's the realization that I can't control another. To let go is to admit powerlessness, which means that the outcome is not in my hands. To let go is not to try to change or blame another. It is to make the most of myself. To let go is not to care for, but to care about. To let go is not to fix, but to be supportive. To let go is not to be in the middle, arranging all the outcomes, but to allow others to affect their destinies. To let go is not to be protective, it's to permit another to face reality. To let go is not to deny, but to accept. To let go is not to nag, scold, or argue, but instead to search out my own shortcomings and correct them. To let go is not to adjust everything to my desires, but to take each day as it comes and cherish myself in it. To let go is not to regret the past, but to grow and live for the future. To let go is to fear less and to love more. Wow, that rocks. That is so beautiful, Reverend Shaheerah. Thank you so much for writing this book, The Wealth of a Spiritual Woman. People, please check it out. Please go to transforminglovecommunity.com, go to Amazon, go to the Women's Gold Rush Conference, and you going in person, get to meet the Reverend Dr. Shaheerah Stevens, get a hug from her, be inspired by her, and just be in her radiant presence. It's coming out through the screen. If you don't feel it, you need to just pay attention a little better, because I can feel it right in this room. I love you. I bless you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me on Spirituality Rocks.
Yes, because it does. Yes.
All right. People, please check us out on Facebook. Like us on Spirituality Rocks on Facebook. We have a group and a page. I want to do a shout out to my producers, Janine Zerilli and Tommy Marr. Thank you for being here. It's 7 degrees outside. Our toes are freezing. Thank you for being here at Deer Park, Long Island for the show. And right after we cut out, we're going to roll credits so you can check out how you can learn more about practical spirituality and New Thought principles. Please go to our website, www.spiritualityrockstv.com, to learn more and see about past episodes. Again, we'll see you next week. We have with us the Reverend Dr. Sheila McKeithen on Spirituality Rocks.
Yay.